I went with She's Fancy, who I wrote on my note, tread lightly, just because I think if she's a shortish price, I don't know if she's worth it. But She's Fancy, the one thing to note about her last race, Mysterious Star just ran off and hid. I mean, just absolutely was drawing away with every stride. So it looks like she didn't really gain a lot of ground, but she did go from 7th to 8th to 7th to 3rd. And She's Fancy, 7 1/4 lengths back at the furlong pole. That's a long way back. And the thing is, she ended up beating almost everybody in the race except Mysterious Star and Run Wit Run. And so she was finishing legitimately well and had a really good gallop out. That's why I liked her at 7/8 today. But again, it's hard to get too enthusiastically behind any of them. So I went 5, 8, 4. On to the second race. We've got a somewhat pivotal scratch here of the 4 My Baby's Gone. I don't know where she got that race from last time where she popped up and threw a 70 buyer. But anyway, she's out. And this is a filly mare allowance at 5/8 on turf.
Yeah, and I like the speed in this race. The 3 are Neon Summer, who's extremely quick. Broke her career debut in a turf sprint at Houston in February, won by 7 widening lengths. Had a couple disappointing main track races, returned to the turf here May 1st at Lone Star Park and one other then, and led into deep stretch, finishing 3rd. The opening quarter of a mile, 21 and 2. I mean, that's the reason I think if she'll rate a little more kindly. Adding blinkers, which is an interesting move when a filly shows the terrific speed that she does. However, Scott Young's been an 18-20% winning trainer for a very long time. And even though he's winless so far at this meeting, he's going to get on a roll here. And hopefully it starts with Neon Summer. My second selection in here is Rumpus. Cesar Govea's horse here. Finished a neck behind My Baby's Gone, who again is the scratch in this race. I like the record at 6 furlong. Been in the exact, in 5/8 turf sprints, been in the exact 6 out of 9 times. Terrific early speed. And then we will go to Special Treasure, who at Lone Star Park has a couple runner-up finishes. You can see last year over this turf course in turf sprint, she suffered 2 very tough luck defeats. Seems to be rounding back into form now, having finished a close 4th last time out. I just feel like she's getting better with each start this year.
You know, I'm on Neon Summer as well here. Really fast, adds blinkers. My second pick is the 6 Princess Phone, who closed pretty well last time out in that race and actually got to within a length of, beat Neon Summer by a length. So, you know, I don't know if that's necessarily, she was 28-1 that day. I don't know if she's going to be able to repeat that today. But since I like Neon Summer, I figured I'd throw Princess Phone in there. Not a big fan of late runners in turf sprints, but she did make a nice bid last time, and so I went with her second over Rumpus. I'm still curious if that My Baby's Gone Rumpus race was really representative because, I mean, it seemed like that was a really fast race for the level.
Yeah, but My Baby's Gone did run a 74 at Houston in a turf sprint.
Yeah.
So that made the 70s, to me at least, seem quite believable.
Well, I'm not saying the number isn't believable. I'm just wondering if the performance was maybe a bit of an exception.
I got you.
On to the third, non-winners of 2 filly allowance runners in here, 7/8 of a mile scratch. Part of the speed in this race, number 3, Soul Set Free.
Yeah, that could make a difference in here. I went with the 7, my friend Amy, who will definitely be coming from off the pace. If you just look at her dirt sprints, you can see a very good record. 5 races, 1 win, and 4 runner-up finishes. Just very consistent. She raced at 7/8 of a mile in the maiden special weight at Churchill in the fall. Again, was a fast-closing second in that race. Now exits a really nice win where kind of swooped the field, circled them, if you would say, and drew off to win rather comfortably. I'm just going to take her right back at this entry-level allowance condition. Camaraderie is my next selection, and these horses at Oaklawn, sometimes they don't even have to be competitive up there. They just seem to have the magic when they come to Lone Star Park. Hall of Fame trainer Steve Asmussen will saddle this one, again, one that'll come from off of the pace. And then Majestic Ways, who has not raced since February at Delta Downs. A lot of horses don't like Delta. That was 2 turns. It was the mud. If you look at the previous race at Houston, that was a solid 4th at a similar condition. And she was consistently good previous to that muddy race at Delta.
Yeah, and she even, like you say, she even liked Delta when it was dry.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, we're similar here, but I did take Camaraderie on top. Just the Oaklawn factor and the Asmussen factor. He's starting to really heat up, and his horses always seem to have that little extra gumption for the stretch drive. And so I'm going to take Camaraderie in this one over my friend Amy. Loved her last race. I'm a little skeptical of the quality of the field that she was beating, but she certainly did it very impressively. And I'm going to pick a filly, I think, later today that beat a suspect field. So I'm going to go back on that philosophy, but I'm going 2-7-4.
Yeah, that JJ's American Diva, who finished 3rd behind my friend Amy, really threw in a clunker last night. And I know you can't base it off one horse. However, that was a little disappointing.
Yeah. It wasn't a flattering performance necessarily for this race, but we'll see. 4th race, non-winners of 3 allowance events, mile and 1/16. There is a scratch out of here, the 6 AK Safari.
Yeah, this is a very competitive race. To me, the 7 Tis Life, later, him 3-1 off back-to-back wins. It looks like he's getting really good. You can see a maiden special weight race around 2 turns on the main track. Wins by nearly 15 lengths from slightly off of the pace. And then last time out, the pace was really slow. He found himself on the lead and then just drew off from the field to win by 4 in a 1 other than. Now it goes into essentially a 2 other than. I just like the versatility. Drew a perfect post position and just an improving, confident colt. So I'm going to take Tis Life right back again. The 1 U.S. Navy Cross for Broberg finished 3rd in back-to-back races. Those races, noted, were at fairgrounds, and they were one was a starter allowance, one was a $35,000 condition claimer. The buyer figures are right there, good enough to be very competitive in this race. And then we've got Dial In for Loot for Trout. Yesterday, Trout won with a horse I didn't like, and he got beat with one I loved. So, it's horse racing, right? This horse won back-to-back races at a mile on the main track at Remington. They got confident, went to the Oklahoma Derby. Did not run especially well there, but in 2022 now, this horse has been showing steadily improving form. The buyer figures are getting good. Last time out here on May 1st, ran at this exact same condition and was beaten only a nose, and it was 3 1.5 lengths back to 3rd.
Yeah, I've got him slotted 3rd as well. Kind of wondering if if we're not overlooking CR there. I went with new U.S. Navy Cross on top. Definitely likes the synth. He's 1 for 3 with 2 seconds on synthetics, but doesn't seem to mind a fast main track either. Seems to be able to run on whatever surface they throw him out there on. Seems to have a nice stalking, closing style, and is coming in from the fairgrounds. So I gave him a slight edge over Tis Life, who's obviously done absolutely nothing wrong in his last couple, and is very versatile as well. And that's a good race right there. On to the 5th. Scratch the 3 Moral Lingerie out of race number 5. We got a couple of romping maiden winners and some stakes fillies on the drop in this one. 6 furlongs here, Texas bred fillies.
Yeah, I believe the money, like most of these races, is going to be spread pretty evenly. I went with the 4 Diamonds and Aces. In the bar last, he finished 3rd, beating only a length. The winner of that race, Tolando, came back here to win a nice allowance race on May 7th. This horse was a maiden special weight winner at Remington Park and had tried stakes rivals around 2 turns. So I think Michael Whitelaw's been pretty high on this filly from the word go. Last time out, they did experiment with turf. Did not run very well. It was just kind of an even performance. And now back to a main track sprint. That's definitely what she wants to do. Let's go to Tootie as the next selection. These are tough. I mean, obviously didn't beat a lot. When you win by 13 lengths and only earn a 62 buyer, that basically tells you the fillies behind her weren't much. However, she did run the race. It was a pretty good time. And, often people say fillies, once they get a taste of winning, they tend to put wins together, and we'll see about this one. And then the 6, Mysterious Star, who won by nearly 9 lengths last time out in a maiden $15,000. That was her first start of the season here at Lone Star Park, but you can see she raced well here as a maiden. Terrific early speed, and Diodoro, he's one of the region's best trainers.
I'm kind of wishing now I had taken Mysterious Star on top because, I don't think she beat anything necessarily in that field, but it didn't really matter. She ran away from them and finished very strongly, in my opinion. She didn't even know there were fillies behind her, I don't think, the last 3/8 of a mile in that race. And she had been a pretty confirmed hanger in all the races prior to that. So I don't know if they adjusted equipment or did something that unlocked something to her, because if you're a filly that's tending to stop in races, even if there's a questionable field behind you, you're going to come back to them a little bit, I would think. But she didn't do that. I picked her second, though. I went with Tootie on top. Just off that, I love the way she finished in that race. She won by 13, but it was a strong finishing performance. I'm going to take her right back in a race where I think, it's a wide open type. I don't see the favorite going off very short here. So I went Tootie over Mysterious Star and Eagle Express for Asmussen, who stunk it up last time out on April 29th. But her other races have been good enough to compete here. I think I overlooked your Diamonds and Aces too much, but
yeah, Eagle Express with all that stake experience, I'm surprised. I almost feel like she'll probably be the one going, just looking at her for the second glance. She's faced better. And she comes out of that Kelly Said Ready race, which was a torrid pace. And I think horses coming out of that race, if they're anywhere near the lead, will probably run better. So, there's a lot of ways to go in that race. I think it's one of our better races for competitiveness.
No, I agree. It's a really nice race.
Mm-hmm.
On to the 6th, mile and a 16th on the turf. My note to myself in this race was it seems to set up for a closer type. A good allowance event here.
Yeah, once again, I'm taking a horse coming off a really good last race at 9-5 favorite, the Bubba Bling. If Bubba Bling wouldn't have went off as the favorite last time against Similar, I may not have, because of the connections, they don't typically go favored, but Bubba Bling was bet down to 9-5, set a ridiculous pace for route 22 and 4, and held on very gamely. He was good last year here at Lone Star Park. The buyers look good. Stake place just 2 starts back. Does have good speed. In this race, though, I would prefer he try to rate just a little bit. The second pick in here is Seductive USA. We talked a lot about this 7-year-old last time because it went back into the barn. Ernesto Torres, who did a really good job with him earlier in his career. He's now won 3 of 7 starts over this turf course, and that was a really nice win against $15,000 claimers. Usually when you win a $15,000 open claimer, it puts you on par with like a 1 other than. This is a 2 other than. But, again, a lot of quality here, and I would not be surprised at all if he wins right back. Plus, with this, with the speed in here, it might set up perfectly for him as well. Let's see. Unrestricted, Eichelberry opts for this one over Englander. He rode both of them, in his last start. I'm assuming that's a good sign. He's battle-tested in stake races in his career. He's made a lot of money, this horse. Last time out, he ran on the main track, but if you look at the previous race, he was 5-1 finishing behind Bubba Bling, which is really the main reason I chose Bubba Bling was I isolated on that race here May 1st.
Yeah. I went ahead and took Seductive USA, just wondering if Bubba Bling at the slightly longer distance. Now, I know he did run second in the Richard King at 9 furlongs, but if Bubba Bling is pressured on the front end, Englander's got good speed, Gold Money has a high pace figure. If they all go out and knock each other out, 8.5 furlongs on this turf might be a little more taxing. So I went with Seductive USA just on the horse for course and the trip factor. I think it sets up for him. Unrestricted's been racing a lot. It's his 3rd race of the month. And if you do overlook that main track race last time, his other turf races look quite good. And I Bubba Bling 3rd. We'll see how things go today. It seems like you have a lot of very logical, picks that make perfect sense that I have picked second. So this may be one of those days where I have a lot of second picks win, or maybe it'll be a better one. Who knows? On to the 7th. Seems like there's plenty of pace in this race as well. 1 mile, Non-winners of 3 lower-level claimers. Scratch number 3, Delirium.
Yeah, and this time I decided to. This was the race with my best long shot of the day. That's the 7 James's Moonshine, 15 to 1 on the line. Not just because it's an Arkansas bred. I'm always partial to those. I know that I'll be criticized for that if this horse loses, being a homer. But James's Moonshine, if you look at his races all last summer and last fall, I mean, he was earning buyer figures that are as good or a little bit better than it typically takes at this level. On a dirt at this distance, he's never been off the board. His record on a fast dirt track, 11 races, 5 times first or second. Greg Compton had this horse in Hot Springs, and the horse just in his last 2 races didn't run well for him. I like that he's back in the barn of a new trainer, Scott Young. Scott Young, I mentioned earlier, 20% winning trainer. I also love that there's so much speed in here, and this horse likes, he likes to come from a little bit off of the pace. I just felt like this is the time. He has run 3 times in his career at Lone Star, finishing second twice. So it just looks like the type of race I wanted to pick a long shot, and I think James's Moonshine will be live today. Let's go to Hell of a Life for my next selection, who at the fairgrounds, I mean, he finished second in back-to-back starts, in $5,000 condition claiming races. Finally broke through here at Lone Star Park on May 8th, clearing that non-winners of 2 condition for Broberg and Eichelberry at 4 to 5 odds. Obviously, he could win right back. He's pretty versatile. And then let's go to, oh boy, who did I pick in the third hole? The 4, I think. Tenor. Yeah. Who finished second behind Hell of a Life last time out. You can see he's got terrific early speed, and he was just caught by Hell of a Life last time. Blinkers off, I mentioned this before. If you just look at handicap and data, blinkers off is a more productive and just a higher ROI angle than blinkers on. It often gets overlooked. So Tenor, blinkers off on this front runner. Maybe he'll relax better and get the job done.
Yeah. I went ahead and took Hell of a Life. I thought he had kind of an edge on paper here. I think he's going to be tough at this level as well. I'm hoping he can run a race like he did last time where he sits just off of it and finishes. American Made is my second pick. He earned a 65 buyer opening night here on the turf. It was by far the best last race buyer that anybody has put up. Now, it was on turf, but, he might have no choice but to kind of come from out of it and close with the amount of speed that could be in this race. So I took him second over King Jingaling, who's one of the speed factors. On to the 8th. Got a bunch of old pros in here, and I picked one of the oldest that you'll ever see. 1 mile, $5,000 beaten claiming event.
So you're on Tiz Showbiz.
I am on. I'm going right back to the well. I picked him on New Year's Eve at Oaklawn. Had to settle for second. I'm going back to him.
Yeah, when one of the conditions is non-winners of 4 and you've won 19, you feel like you might be getting a bit of an edge. But the 4, Tiz Showbiz, I'm with you. Moves to the Broberg barn from Diodoro. You can see, though, if you look at the PPs, Broberg trained this thing previous to Diodoro taking over in December.
And did very well with him, too.
And Broberg did terrific with him. He won back-to-back races. At the last time he was running for $5,000, I mean, he won back-to-back races. His 1 mile races in Hot Springs were actually his good races. I just feel like this 19-time winner is spotted to win, definitely in for $5,000. The 9 Big Power Red, last time out was bet down to favoritism at Will Rogers Downs. That was an entry-level allowance condition, too, and he ran pretty well. He earned a buyer figure that puts him right here with the rest of them. He had traffic trouble. I wish I'd have watched the replay. It said boxed in, but we don't know where in the race, unless you watched it. But
no, I did not actually watch that.
But this horse actually won back-to-back races around 2 turns at Houston, too, this spring. So this horse dropping in for $5,000 has every right to win this race. And then let's go to the rail with Excalibur Ridge, who was a nice allowance winner, a restricted allowance winner at Houston in his most recent race on the main track, rallying from quite a ways back. They've tried turf with him 2 starts in a row because he had some success previously on turf, but he's only 1 for 22 on turf. His record's much better on the main track, 2 for 13, draws the rail. And again, if he runs that race back he ran March 18th at Houston, then he's going to be tough to deny today.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I took him 4th in this spot, but, Tiz Showbiz, for me, he's 11 years old. They're quite a marvel when they can run that long. Flip the Coin Jan is the one that's intriguing to me in here. I've got him third. He's got really good speed. I just think, in a race where maybe there isn't a whole lot of, early speed going, maybe Flip the Coin Jan could get out there and lead for quite a while. Ninth race, scratch the 1, Oh My Aching Arch. This is a mile on the turf. Also scratch the 7, Nana's Boy. I was going for Nana as my top pick here, Rick, but non-winners of 3 claimers.
Yeah, I got more like it, the 3 horse in here. I did make this horse 5-1, but now that we have the scratch of Oh My Aching Arch and Nana's Boy, the price will be probably more like 3-1. But this horse exits a nice third place turf sprint finish where he finished up really well. But if you look at his 2-turn races, starting with the ones in New York last year, all earning buyer figures good enough to win today. Comes into this region at Houston and easily wins a non-winners of 2 claiming race. This is a non-winners of 3 claimer. And again, off a couple, turf sprints where he finished up well, back at his best distance for J.R. Caldwell, who's typically has good Lone Star meetings, and he's having another good one now. Gordon Anthony, it's easy to like this one as well. Beaten only a neck here on April 28th, and then he went to the main track last time out on May 8th. Again, that was a good race for him. Paul Duhan claims this horse from Broberg, and Paul Duhan does an exceptional job. He's one of those trainers that always is under the radar. 38% winner off his last 8 claims. That's a really good record. Gets top veteran rider Richard Aramia. I think Gordon Anthony's going to be possibly offer a little bit of value in here. And then Black Rock Castle, with the scratches, is now my next pick. Not unraced at September, but if he is ready to run the races he ran last year at Lone Star Park where he broke his maiden, he was very competitive in an entry-level allowance race. I know that's a big if, but if you get a good square price, the question as a handicap you're always asking, is this horse good enough to win? And he is good enough to win. It's just the layoff is the thing that's why you must demand some type of value.
Yeah, no doubt. I went with Gordon Anthony in here. I scratch into him, but he's been going pretty well. If you isolate his turf races of late, they've all been pretty consistent. The buyers have all been pretty consistent. He made kind of an early-ish move last time out, going a mile and a 16th on the dirt, but he gets back to the turf today. I took him over More Like It, and my third pick is going to be the 2, Declare War, who ran an eye-opening buyer on the turf last time in March at 41-1. I don't know if he can repeat that, but he's my third pick.
I heard that ruckus after you mentioned Gordon Anthony as your top selection.
Yeah,
that's going to be a popular pick.
10th and final. This will be our Jackpot Super High 5 wagering race. There's a good carryover heading into that. I had the number written down here on the first race. The Jackpot Super High 5, $11,599 is the carryover to the 10th race. Texas bred maiden claimers scratch the 3-play rule, who was my second pick. I was looking forward to seeing him run because I thought he might win, but he's out.
Yeah, this is the type of race where you lose your handicapper's license if you pick the favorite, but the problem is who's going to be the favorite. This was a very difficult race. Basically none of them you really think deserve to be the favorite, but they all show some ability. So again,
I think Steve will end up being now that the other Steve is out. I think Steve's going to have.
Yeah, I do too, and I thought that would happen, so I picked Zipster the 4, who a 5-year-old with only 6 career races, but you can look. He's run buyers a 45 and 43 and open maiden company, which those 2 races I think will win this race today. Unraced since November, and for this horse, that's a good thing because he fires fresh and then he goes downhill immediately. He gets one good race in him, and he's done. So, Zipster, this is his day, I hope. The one ready to shake, as Jim mentioned. Boy, he has not raced since July. He flashed speed as a 2-year-old and dropped back twice. Good series of workouts. Steve's going to run these 3-year-olds, though. He knows his horse isn't an allowance horse. He's going to run it where he can break his maiden. So, to me, this isn't a big negative. This is where this horse belongs. He's going to be the one to catch. So, ready to shake you know, he's going to be tough in here. If you want recency, Heavenly Trump is probably the way to go. Didn't show any speed at all at 5/8 of a mile, but finished up really well. Now going from 5/8 of a mile to 6 furlongs. He appears to be getting good now, and he found the perfect spot.
Yeah, he really did. I've got him second. You know, that Tap in the Bling that won his maiden race, that Heavenly Trump was in last time, came back around a really good second. I picked him the other day on the stretch out, and he ran a really nice second. So normally I don't think of these races as being key race type things, but that might be. Still in all, I went with Steve. I went with Ready to Shake. I think I lost my handicapper's license a couple of weeks ago when I picked against who was that horse that I forget. But nonetheless, this horse did show good speed last time, and they had somewhat high hopes for him, you know, coming out of the chute. But, you know, he just obviously didn't have much stick-to-itiveness. He's had time off. Asmussen's done okay this meet with horses like Lamp Oil, for example, that have come back off layoffs and been at this type of level. So I'm going to give him a shot. You know, the old put him on the lead at least. You know, give me a horse in this level that's somewhere near the lead. My second pick becomes Heavenly Trump. Redbird Storm's another one, showed good speed last time out. I didn't use your Zipster, even though I made all kinds of notes about how he was in against Texas Breds and this and that. But I didn't use him. I'd keep an eye on 12-pack on the outside, too, making a big drop out of maiden specials and draws an outside post. And I don't know. There's a race or two in there that might point him out. Noah as well. But
so finishing second behind Remember Me, Tony didn't do it for you.
It really didn't. Even though I think I picked Remember Me, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, because I thought he had many tries, Remember Me, Tony, before he finally broke through.
Oh, he was like a 17-time maiden.
Yeah, he finally
Remember
broke
Me, Tony.
through.
And I picked him.
Yep.
You know, I should have noted that.
Yeah, you should. That may have been a key race for all we know. The third place finisher at least came back to win, and Zipster's going to come back to win a year later.
Well, yeah, that was just a delayed reaction key race.
There you go.
All right. Well, we hope if you brought your pooch out today, we hope you enjoy this Lone Star Bark. We'll have some of that action coming up between races. Rick, thanks as always, and good luck.
Thank you.
We have quite a few differing picks today, so we'll see how things go. It should be an interesting day of racing. Good luck.